welcome to episode 40. I almost said 25. This is episode 45 of Life in General. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
Hey, you said it with more passion that time, Ian.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm more passionate about this show, I guess.
Is that what it is?
No.
Oh.
Sounded good.
All right. As always, any questions or comments, you can email us at, you know what our email address is, Ian? How about contact at lifeandgeneralpodcast.com?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you knew it this time.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You can check us out on Twitter. Do you know what our Twitter handle is, Ian?
At Life in General Podcast.
No, not even close.
Well, fuck you then.
At LIG Pod. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah. Dumbass. You can check us out on Facebook also. And of course, we always have all of our previous episodes on our website, which is lifeandgeneralpodcast.com. So check it out there. We're on pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts. I almost said music. I'm really kind of fucking this up, aren't I? But we're on Podbean.
You know more than I am.
Yeah. Podbean, iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Spotify, just about everywhere else.
Yep.
So what's going on, Ian?
I don't know. Some stuff in the news, I think.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know what, and this is the funny thing is, so normally I like pay attention to this stuff, but I've been so fucking busy with school and work and everything. I really haven't had time to really pay attention. So why don't you school me on what's been going on, Ian?
Well, there really isn't much to school you on. I mean, it's just little stuff, little tidbits of news that have happened this last week or so.
Like what?
Well, John McCain is ready to die.
Which that's understandable because so he was diagnosed last year with the
Well, he was diagnosed before that, but he
went public with it. But so when he was diagnosed, it was really like 18 months tops.
His prognosis wasn't good. Yeah.
So that's kind of understandable. And if I was if I was his age, I would probably kind of look at it the same way. Like
that's kind of what his the statement that the family put out.
Yeah. If I'm gonna be dying in a couple of months, I just want to die peacefully, be able to enjoy my last moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's really unfortunate, because as much as I'm not a fan of a lot of his politics in the last 10 years or so, he's...
Well, I'd even go say he's 15, because I liked him a lot pre-2000.
Yeah. Well, because he was, I don't know, because he seemed like
more of a centrist Republican.
Yeah, he was one of those kind of more like, I call him Eisenhower Republicans.
Yeah, I could see that. But he changed after that.
Yeah, I think
after 9/11.
Yeah, he kind of bowed down a little bit more to his party than he typically did prior to that. I don't know. He's a war hero, and he's
not to tell Trump he's not.
Well, because Trump doesn't like people that were captured,
right?
But I don't know. It's unfortunate to see anyone go through what he's gone through the last year or so. But yeah,
he's been more like him, like the old McCain, as far as his politics go, too. But I mean, he's had the freedom to kind of say what he wants to say.
Yeah, and that's not. I don't think that's as much as him knowing he's going to die. I think that has more to do with. I mean, I'm sure that has that's part of the thing, but a lot of the Republicans, like Jeff Flake, guys that are leaving office, they've all been doing that.
Yeah.
Because they know they're not running again, so they don't have to worry about any of that. They can say what they wanted to say, which is really unfortunate because being an elected official, that's how you should govern.
You would think.
Yeah, and that's one thing I always say, and I've said for a long time, that if I was ever to run for office, I'd run as an independent. Just because I hate party bullshit. I don't want to go into running as, say, a Democrat and get elected, and then it's like, oh, well, now I have to do what the Democrats want me to do.
Well, you don't, though. That's the thing.
Okay.
You really don't.
In a perfect world, you're correct, but you're wrong. Because that's, I remember the story of Clinton once he won the election in 92. It was shortly after he took office that the party basically sat him down in the Oval Office and said, well, it's nice that you ran on all this stuff, but this is really how Washington runs, and this is how our party runs, and you're going to toe the line.
I would be like, well, no, I'm the president now.
Yeah.
For at least the next 4 years, you don't have any control over me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but you need your party to pass shit too. So
true, but if your platform is solid, You don't need them.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I don't know if I was going to run for office, I don't think I'd run out as an independent, but I definitely wouldn't. If I ran as a Democrat, because I wouldn't run as a Republican, that would just be stupid. But if I ran as a Democrat, I would rather lose an election by standing by my principles than winning and giving them up.
Yeah.
So, and if I win, I'm not going to give up my principles just because I won and they tell me I have to.
Yeah. So, and there's some that don't. There's some that don't.
You don't hear about them.
You don't hear about them too often.
Yeah. So yeah, that was that. Danny Boyle dropped out of Bond 25 for creative differeners, so he is not directing.
Have they said anything else about it?
No, that just came out yesterday, I think. Yesterday, the day before, and they just said creative differences.
How far along are they in the process of the
pre-production? It's supposed to start filming pretty soon, though.
Yeah,
because it's due out next year.
Yeah, late in the year, though.
Yeah, it always comes out in November, December. November usually. That's when they usually release the Bond movies. November.
Well, yeah, that sucks. I
mean, he's a good director.
He is,
and I think he could have done something really good with it.
Yeah,
but
they'll find somebody equally as good, though. I mean, it's
hard to say, though. I mean, it's just hard to say. Sam Mendes did the last two, and
I thought they were good.
Yeah,
I mean, well, the last one didn't do what they wanted to do in the theaters. I don't remember what the exact numbers on it were.
No, it underperformed by most standards. But aside from the ending being a little anticlimactic, I thought it was a great film.
Yeah.
So
it was. And it was a good setup for what they've got going forward.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the only thing that really was kind of with that anticlimactic ending. It's like, okay, well, the next one's that's gonna be the big showdown or whatever, but the Blofeld showdown. But I don't know. I don't know if you heard the Trump administration slightly imploding this week.
Well, how is it imploding though?
Well,
because I know it's.
Manafort was convicted on 8 of the 18 charges. Okay.
Yeah, the other 10 were
mistrial.
Mistrial.
Michael Cohen basically came out and said that I have recordings. This is the president.
I did see that. And he said basically...
And the recordings are the president saying, yeah, go ahead. Basically, everything that Trump has said about that situation was a lie.
But wasn't him like selling political favors, basically?
No, it was about mainly the Stormy Daniels and the Playboy chick.
Yeah, but we already knew all about that.
Yeah, but he's been denying it, and they use campaign funds.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
If that's true,
what the issue is. It's going to be a campaign finance issue.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then he's committed a crime. An impeachable crime, I would think.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
potentially, but here's the thing.
Wait.
The current House.
What kind of a crime does a president commit that isn't a crime enough for him to lose his job over?
Because you have a House that's not going to impeach him. That's why.
That I understand.
That's why I said potentially, because
and I said impeachable crime. I didn't say he would get impeached. I said it was an impeachable crime.
But here's the thing: even if they were to impeach him, do you think the Senate would
No,
convict
he's
him?
not getting impeached. None of this is going to lead to an impeachment. I don't care what happens in
hold
November.
on. That's if the Democrats were to win, to take over the House, it is possible that they could impeach him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he were to be impeached, it would guarantee a second term for him. It would absolutely guarantee a second term for him.
It would definitely not be good for the Democrats to push for impeachment.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I don't like the son of a bitch. I want him out too, but it's just impeachment's not the way to go. Just rally the base and get people out voting and have a fucking platform, and you will win against him because
and have a platform that's something other than we're not Trump. Because that's the shit that fucking pisses me off. Yeah. Have something real. Because that was the thing we said about during the 8 years of Obama. Because the Republicans were, well, we're not Obama. And
it works for them.
It does work to a certain extent with them. But the Democrats were always saying, okay, but what do you want to do?
Right.
What do you want to lead on? What are your ideas?
Well,
and they didn't have any. Now the roles are reversed, and it's the Democrats doing the same fucking thing.
Right.
They have no ideas. Okay, we're just not Trump. Vote for us because we're not Donald Trump.
Yeah. And it's not enough.
No.
It's not enough.
No. Okay, so what do you want to do to better the country? What do you want to do to better middle America, to blue collar America?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are your plans?
Right.
The Democrats do have plans. There are some Democrats like Bernie Sanders that have ideas. I don't know how functional they'd really be, but they don't really push any of it. The party doesn't push any of it.
No, it doesn't. And as far as the viability of Bernie's plans, I like him because he shoots far on his goals, which gives a lot of leeway for moving forward. You know, your universal health care may be a hard sell, but it's better than the Affordable Care Act. So maybe we can find something in between the two that's better than the Affordable Care Act and gets us closer to. Sorry, that's
what was that?
That was my phone.
Oh.
But gets us closer to the
universal,
end goal.
Yeah.
So that's I think I tried to explain that in our last episode where we were arguing a lot about taking things to the extreme. It's not that I want the extreme or think we can get the extreme. It's just if, much like the Republicans have gone in the other direction, if you shoot far, you're bound to land somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But you're going farther out rather than staying closer to the center.
Yeah.
You know, try to push it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we really need. That's what the Democrats really need to do. But there's been other issues with Michael Cohen doing that, putting those things out. Trump. This is Trump's problem. He's a bad liar, first and foremost.
But the funny thing
is, it doesn't matter. None of it matters.
No.
But he's a bad liar.
He doesn't need to be a good liar.
No. But then when he gets to the end where he can't lie anymore, he tells the truth and says it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, yeah, I knew, but it wasn't a crime.
What, the whole Stormy Daniels thing?
Yeah.
Well,
if it was proven that he violated campaign finance laws, then it is a crime. But he's saying it's not in any way. And
but if it's not, if they in no way violated campaign finance laws, then it's not
a crime. You're right. But from what I've read and what I've heard, it probably does. The problem is that he's also doubling down on that and saying that basically anyone who's how did he word it? He said something about giving in or selling out. Yeah. He's basically saying if you're a turncoat, you're a terrible person.
Gotcha.
And that's what he said. He said that about Michael Cohen, and he kind of said the same thing about Jeff Sessions. And Jeff Sessions wasn't taking that. He kind of called him back on it. He's like, "Look, I'm the director of Department of Justice here. I have to follow the law."
Uh-huh.
And Trump's response to that was essentially, "You're my guy. You shouldn't have recused yourself from any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have recused yourself from the Manafort situation.
Yeah.
You should have backed me
as
up."
far as Sessions or
Sessions.
Yeah.
This is Jeff Sessions. Yeah. And that's what I mean. He's kind of doubling down on this idea that he's untouchable, even though people are turning on him left and right, and it's their fault. They're the ones who are wrong because they're turning on him.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying that in public. He's saying that because they're ratting him out, they're the bad guys.
It's like the mafia running the White House.
It is kind of,
which is funny because he has a lot of mafia ties.
Yeah,
at least through his real estate dealings in New York
and in Russia, I would imagine.
Well, I don't know about
that's speculative, of course, but you would think
it's not. It's not speculative here in the United States,
right? But yeah, so I mean, that's what I meant by imploding. He's just.
I guess
there's nothing for me to equate it to that I can even think in historically speaking, or even through like literature and stuff. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. But I guess the ultimate question is, what does it lead to?
Well, and that's we don't know. We don't know. And like I said, as much as I don't want him in office, I definitely don't think him. Even if he committed a crime, I hate to say it. Even if he committed a crime, impeachment's not the answer. At least not right now.
No,
because if he say theoretically they don't go for impeachment, and he did commit a crime, at least right now they don't go for impeachment, and theoretically he wins in 2020, then maybe. Doing it now, it's too soon. You can't. They're basically shooting themselves in the foot for 2020 if they try to.
The other way I can look at this, and the other way I could see potentially this playing out, even though this is highly unlikely, is let's say the Democrats win the House in November.
That's the unlikely part, I would imagine.
Well, no. It's going to get more unlikely. But anyway, so let's say they do that, and they decide not to impeach him. Right. And they run on, Ian opening his drink after the show started. And they win.
Fine, I'll go thirsty.
God. So they win the House, they decide not to impeach him, and then the Democrats put up a good candidate in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts looking like Trump won't win the election.
Yeah.
Would, at that time, the GOP turn on Trump and play that against the Democrats and say, look, the Democrats are weak because they didn't go after Trump, and try to put up a different candidate in place of him?
I could see them doing that for sure, because the Republicans are good at backhanded kind of things like that. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think most politicians
are, but Republicans are really good at it. I don't know. It depends. If say that scenario starts to play out, if Trump has lost some of his base, they will for sure, because it could work. But if his base is still as strong then as it is now, they'd be stupid to do that.
Yeah, because they'll never pull away from him.
Well, right. Theoretically. I think he could lose some of his base. I don't think he'll lose enough.
No.
But if he lost 20% of his base, the Republicans would be in a much better position to do that. And they could win.
He's not going to lose. Regardless of what he does, he's not going to lose 20% of his base.
You don't think so?
No, because if you look at
I could see him losing 5% now.
Maybe 2%.
Yeah.
I think that might be a real
5 would be the high end,
a realistic kind of number. Because if you look at the last couple of elections, going back to 2008, the Republican has gotten relatively the same amount of votes,
right?
Within a couple of percentages.
And that's because those are the consistent voters.
Yes.
Typically your older voters.
And it's been the votes on the Democratic side that's
fluctuated.
That's fluctuated.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I don't understand why people don't vote. I just don't see. I don't understand.
No, if Hillary Clinton would have gotten roughly the same amount of votes that Barack Obama did in 2012, I mean, she would have.
Which was a downturn from 2008.
2008, it was. Yeah. She would have easily won the election.
Right. And who's to say anything would be better or worse then? But it's just, I don't know. Trump's an ass clown. He doesn't deserve the position he's got. That's my biggest problem.
Yeah. Well, like I've said, I've called him a snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
Long before he was in politics.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good description, but it's also not. It's lacking in something too. Yeah. But moving on, they found that girl's body, and I guess the Republicans.
What was her name?
Molly Tibbetts.
Tibbet, yeah.
And they've arrested a man who's an immigrant, Mexican immigrant.
Is he undocumented?
Yes, he's undocumented. And, of course, the Republican Party. Well, shouldn't sum up there, but conservatives are, of course, politicizing that, using it as their argument for the
wall.
The wall.
Yeah.
But her family's already said that isn't appropriate.
I did see this. One of her family members came out and specifically named a Republican that had been
trying to politicize it.
Yeah, and told them to knock it off.
Yeah. Well, the whole from what I read, the whole family has made a statement, or a joint statement, saying that they do not want this politicized.
Yeah. No, because why?
Right. I mean, it's one case.
What does that solve?
It doesn't. Well, no, it does, because we're talking about that base, that Trump base.
Well, yeah, because they're just playing to the crowd.
Right. I mean, take this for example. The Trump base primarily is going to watch Fox News, and Fox News is going to be all over this.
Yeah, they have.
As an example, when the Manafort convictions came down, it was, He was convicted of 8 counts, and he was.
And there was all what, tax evasion and things like that, or
I don't remember. I don't know exactly what the counts he was convicted of, but the 10 that he wasn't convicted of, all the news agencies out there were saying Manafort convicted of 8, mistrial on 10, or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
Fox News, mistrial on 10.
Yeah.
They didn't even mention the convictions.
Really?
Yeah. So his base is, it doesn't matter. If Fox News says undocumented immigrant kills white girl in middle America.
Well, they don't say undocumented immigrant first off.
What would they say?
Fox, they say illegal immigrant.
Illegal immigrant, whatever.
Even though
I'm sorry, it's difficult for me to switch into that brain mode because it's an,
even though there's no such thing as an illegal immigrant, but okay.
Right. So anyway, so they would say illegal immigrant kills girl, but what they're really saying is white girl in middle America.
Yeah.
And that's all they're going to hear. That's all the base is going to hear, and it's all that matters to them. And they're like, "Oh, of course we need the fucking wall."
Yeah. Even though
it's one case. I mean, one person. It's one person.
But the thing that gets me, one of the things that really bothers me about the whole wall issue is, and I'm not just talking because these are things I've read. I worked in immigration.
Right.
You know, I spent 3 years working to fight for people to stay in the United States. I worked for the good guys. But, is a large chunk, it's not a majority, but a large chunk of the people who are here illegally in the United States did not come illegally across a border.
Right. They've just overstayed their welcome.
They overstayed their visas.
Yeah.
People coming on visitor visas and things like that, tourist visas, and they just overstay, or worker visas and things like that. Student visas. There's a bunch of different kind of visas you can get to come to the United States.
Right.
And you just overstay. And that's what a lot of them are here on. So putting up a wall isn't going to stop that.
No. The wall's not going to stop anything.
No.
I mean, really, I couldn't imagine it even touching 5% of actual immigration. I mean, theoretically.
Well, it would. It would if you do a East-West Germany kind of wall where you have armed guards on it.
But that's not
shooting
even what he's
people.
That's not even what he's talking about.
I know
he's just talking about putting up a wall and they're never coming in.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying though is it might have an effect on it if you
do it the right way.
Yeah, if you militarize the wall, yes, and shoot people trying to come across it. That's not going to happen though.
Well, no. See, you say that, but it could happen. It could. In Trump's America, it could
Well,
happen.
I don't know about that.
There's a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought possible before there was a Trump America.
There would be some very large lawsuits before any of that would be allowed to happen.
You're also talking about a man who doesn't think he's beholden to the law.
That's true.
So, you never know. I guess on a lighter note, Patrick Stewart's returning as Captain Picard. New Star Trek series.
Yeah, have you heard anything?
No, they don't have any scripts yet. But he was at a convention, and he made the announcement. So he's on board 100%, and everyone's all happy about it.
That's cool.
And it's gonna be a Captain Picard that's probably not on the Enterprise anymore.
Yeah,
it's 20 some years after the last time he was Captain Picard. So
that makes sense.
18 years. So I have a feeling it's going to play into that. It's going to be, it's just him. It's not the rest of the crew, at least as of right now.
So it's just going to be a show about him on vacation, basically, retirement.
Well, there's
on the beach
some of the speculation. The character's always had an affinity for archaeology, so it could be he's retired from Starfleet and he's an archaeologist now.
So it's Star Trek meets Indiana Jones?
Maybe. I mean, that's one theory.
I hope not.
That's one theory.
I hope not.
Well, at least the Crystal Skull story would make more sense in Star Trek.
That is true.
So, but there's a lot of different ways they could go. I mean, we just don't know yet. But I'm excited.
I'm assuming that they're probably going to give him a new ship. I mean, it's got to be.
Well, not necessarily. They don't have to. They could. It could, but that's kind of the nice thing about Star Trek now on TV is as much as they try not to go too far astray, they can go a little farther than they used to be able to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, it doesn't have to be Captain Picard on a new ship. It could be Captain Picard on a space adventure of some kind.
A 3-hour tour. So it's Star Trek meets Gilligan's Island.
Well, that would just be on a planet. I mean, you can just put them anywhere then, I guess. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that. It's definitely not where I would have gone, but I'm excited for it.
I'm interested to see what they do, because The Next Generation was probably my favorite Star Trek series.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it probably is for a lot of other people out there.
It is. I'd say it's the most excited the Star Trek fan base has been about anything in 20 years.
Yeah. Are they going to make another movie?
I guess I could have thrown that in there. Yes, but maybe not. They have a director. They were in pre-production, but Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth were both attached and technically signed on, left.
Really?
Because Paramount wanted to go with a smaller budget, which meant cutting into their pay. Chris Hemsworth didn't really have a deal, but his agent was negotiating a price, and it was probably too high.
Oh,
Chris Pine, on the other hand, had a contract.
Yeah, he probably wanted it renegotiated.
No, they wanted to renegotiate it down. And he signed that in 2016, right before Beyond came out. Well, Beyond underperformed.
Which I think Beyond is
the best of the three. I agree.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. That being said, it didn't do as well financially.
Yeah. Well, it's the stupid-ass Star Trek fans that probably boycotted it.
No, they haven't gotten that bad yet. They haven't gotten Star Wars level bad yet.
I don't know.
Because people still like the JJ movies.
Yeah.
You know. The fan base, not so much, but they still go see it. It's, all of us still go see it. I didn't like them as much either. I hated Into Darkness. For what it's worth, I don't like it.
I thought it was good. It was a good movie.
But I still went and saw it twice.
Yeah.
So, what does that tell you? But that's my problem. They already had a contractual obligation to Chris Pine, and they wanted to go against that.
Yeah.
So, part of me is like, well, I really wanted to see this movie, because by bringing Chris Hemsworth back, it was going to be a time travel movie, because Chris Hemsworth played his dad in the first one.
Okay.
And he died. So, it was going to be a time travel situation, and to me, I see that as an opportunity to fix that whole...
The issues you have with
the issues I have with the canon, yeah. So, if they could have done that, I was really excited for it. But the fact that Chris Pine is kind of being screwed, I'm kind of with him. I would have walked too. Now,
it depends on what.
I like what Kevin Smith said about it. He said, okay, you negotiate him down a little bit, but you give him a little higher back end.
Back end, yeah.
And that should solve the problem. And he says, get the agents out of the deal, because the agents sorry as fuck everything up. So we'll see what happens. I think actors and studios do this all the time, but it's very rare for it to happen literally right before it start filming, because I think they were going to start filming in January, February.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is...
That sucks, too, because I really like the three movies. Yeah. I really want to see them
The first one was good, other than it changing timeline. And the third one is fantastic, because it's more Trek than the other two.
Yeah.
But I could do without Into Darkness, really, honestly. I could do without
I thought it was really good.
But those two movies by themselves, Star Trek and then Star Trek Beyond, those two are fine.
Would you have had less of a problem with Into Darkness if his name was something other than Khan?
Maybe, but that's not what bothered me the most. It was the fact that at the end of the movie, Khan crashes the Vengeance into San Francisco and takes out about, 30 or 40 buildings. And there's no talk about how many thousands of people probably died when he did that.
Yeah.
At all. It's just nothing. No comment on that at all.
Where would you want to comment on it? Oh my God. He killed thousands of people.
A lot of people died in that instant. And it's just, we captured Khan and he's put in a box. That movie was poorly written.
I don't know.
Excuse me. It was poorly written. Even if it had been Khan and they had written it differently, it would have been fine, probably. But the way it was written, it there's a lot of good stuff to it. I don't want to shit on it altogether. The Section 31 connection was really good because that's canon. That's Star Trek canon. And Pike dying, all that stuff. All that was well done, but the rest of the story, the trip to Klingon homeworld, it was badly written. It was badly written.
All right.
So, and that's, now I'm saying that as I have criticisms of the first one because of what it does, and I think it was lazy writing, but it's a much better written movie overall. Everything works better. The second one, not so much, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So.
I guess I can see that to a certain extent.
Okay. And then all those writing mistakes are kind of they're not fixed, but they're better in Beyond. Beyond was a much better film overall.
Yeah, I mean, of the three, Into Darkness was my least favorite of the three.
Mine too, is what I'm saying, essentially. And I can honestly, if I go back and watch them, I probably don't watch Into Darkness. I watch the first one and the third one, and I'm done. So, anyway, but I guess that's about it. And then in the U.S., the Eagles' greatest hits has officially beat Michael Jackson's Thriller as the best-selling record.
Which that's really interesting. And it's really kind of difficult. Now they use certified sales for that,
which I don't know what that means. Essentially, I don't know. Certified opposed to uncertified. I don't know.
Well, because I think they estimate sales.
I'm sorry, I'm opening my soda because I'm thirsty.
I thought you did that like 15 minutes ago.
I stopped because you got pissy about it.
Oh my god, you fucking snowflake!
I was being polite. I thought I thought I was being a nice guy.
So yeah, I want to say the estimated total sales still put it at number 2 behind Thriller. Thriller, I think worldwide is like 66 million, and Eagles' Greatest Hits is like 64 million or something, or 65 million. They're really close.
Right. But that's, like you pointed out, it's just U.S. sales.
Correct.
Certified sales.
But if you look at certified worldwide sales, it's still number 2.
Right.
So it's certified U.S. sales. You're correct. Yeah, it's number 1, which is really interesting. I mean, the Eagles, and it's not even the Eagles' greatest hits. It's the Eagles' greatest hits from like the first 4 years.
Right. Would you say there's like 8 songs on it?
Yeah, it doesn't have Hotel California or any of that on it.
Which is, Well, I don't like the Eagles anyway. So the fact that they could even find 8 songs that people like, or that anyone should like, is...
Well, the Eagles have some really great music.
Yeah, if you say so.
They do.
I don't
especially some of their earlier stuff is really good.
I don't agree. I don't like the Eagles, but that's my opinion.
I mean, Hell Freezes Over. I would put Hell Freezes Over as probably in my top 15 albums of all time.
Yeah, that was that Unplugged they did, right?
It wasn't Unplugged. It was just their like reunion concert.
Oh, I thought it was Unplugged.
No,
Huh. Still, it's not. I don't like the Eagles. I've never liked the Eagles. Even when I was a kid, I didn't like them. But
all right.
So basically, what I'm saying is I didn't do anything to help them cross that threshold into beating Michael Jackson's Thriller, because I actually did buy Michael Jackson's Thriller. I never bought an Eagles album.
Yeah, actually, I bought Eagles' Greatest Hits, I don't know, a couple of weeks back on vinyl, and actually I bought Thriller today on vinyl. So
if you'd bought Thriller first, that may not have happened.
Yes, you're right. Yes, it was the one sale that did it.
You never know.
Do you have the numbers there?
No.
What kind of note taker are you?
I'm the kind of note taker that puts bullet points and then hopes that you can fill in the blanks.
See,
the fact that I came with notes at all.
I know, it's like we reversed roles. Yeah. So Ian actually has notes today, and I really have nothing.
What we're calling notes is really nothing.
Ian showed up with like a list of things to talk about, and I just showed up to talk.
Yeah.
It's a really easy role this way. I like this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
So what you're saying is we need to do this more often?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't think you'll like it.
Talking about your topics?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we go back and forth on the topics, but, as far as choosing them, but...
Yeah, whatever.
If I'm guiding the conversation...
You are so far, the first 35 minutes we've been talking.
Oh, wow. Well, we do have a topic though too. We want to get to.
We do. Well, and it's somewhat topical.
I don't have any notes on the topic.
Are you serious?
I have no notes.
Fucking dumbass.
None whatsoever on the topic. Just notes on the intro.
So the NFL just started a couple weeks back. This past week, high school football in Michigan just started, and I saw an article.
That's why I don't have any notes, because you started off with sports, and
But it's going to lead into what you want to talk about.
Okay.
Dumbass. And so the whole kneeling thing has come back up.
Okay.
So
I was going to talk about that.
There was so I don't remember what high school it was, but it was one of the out towards Detroit, Farmington Hills, or one of those areas. Got caught up in the news. Actually, I was reading it this morning that they had, I don't know what it was, 6 or 8 football players kneel during the anthem, and it's really kind of sparked this outrage again. Right. And it kind of brings it, for me, it brings it all back to this freedom of speech kind of thing that we've struggled with over the course of the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's a fair estimate.
Really, I mean, it's been since September 11th, basically. I think a lot of this, at least the whole "you can't say that because it's not patriotic" kind of thing came from.
Well, yeah, that might be where it started. I mean, it's not historically unprecedented, though.
No, it's not. It's not. But it's because at least for the football players, if they are going to take a stand against something, and you have a problem with them kneeling, what's an appropriate way for them to voice their opinion?
Well, I think the majority of the people who are up in arms about it would not want them to voice their opinion at all.
Well, that's probably right.
And for me, it smacks of nationalism when you have to put the benefit of symbol over the benefit of one of the freedoms that symbol is supposed to give us.
Yeah.
So you're saying the freedom that the national anthem's representing don't apply when it comes to the national anthem. It's counterintuitive to the whole process. Mm-hmm. I saw a meme. It wasn't a meme or someone posted. I don't know. I don't remember on Facebook something about the Colin Kaepernick thing. And I kind of pointed out, I said, it doesn't matter who he is. It's more confusing to me that you are putting your patriotism towards this song. It's imaginary. It's illusory. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's a song. And like any song, it's going to appeal to you differently than it'll appeal to somebody else. Or the flag, same thing. It's fucking cloth.
They're symbols.
It's symbols. And it's like all symbols. It doesn't have any real value other than what you give it. And his right to kneel goes beyond anything. It doesn't even matter what he's protesting. He doesn't have to. In this country, he doesn't have to show any reverence to this shit.
Well, I mean,
even if there was if he had no political agenda at all, he has every right to not stand up. Yeah. Period.
Do you know why he kneels? Do you know why? See,
I know that he was. Someone gave him the idea to do that.
So originally he sat on the bench.
Right.
He was sitting on the bench. He did this for a couple of weeks before the media kind of caught on to it. So the first couple of games, or the first game, I know he sat on the bench while the national anthem played, and it was I don't know what branch of the service the guy was with, but he was a former person from the military, and a former officer came up to him after the game and said, "Look, sitting on the bench is disrespectful to the people that served the country and fought for freedoms in this country." So it was actually the former officer that suggested that he kneel.
Right.
He said that kneeling is still respectful to the flag, the anthem, the country, whatever, and it's still a way to protest what's going on.
Okay.
So that's...
Let me no, and that's that. I remember there being something about that, and that's fine. But again, I want to try and word this properly so it don't come off as bad as I think I might come off.
It probably will. But
Okay.
just go ahead.
Our freedom is defended to a degree by our military.
Yeah.
So there's that. I would never criticize a service person. Is what I'm trying not to do. I don't.
Tread lightly.
But I don't understand why saluting a flag or standing for the national anthem in any way respects or disrespects someone who served. And quite honestly, the military hasn't really been defending our freedom literally for 75 years.
Yeah, it's
Almost 75 years. It was the last time our military was called upon to truly defend our freedom.
yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not standing guard. Again, I don't want to discredit them or disrespect them verbally, because that can be done. Standing for the flag has nothing to fucking do with the military. That's nationalism talking. That is not... Patriotism and nationalism are the same fucking thing. And when you put too much value on these imaginary things, you create a cult mentality around them. Then it becomes, you have to stand, or we're gonna censure you, or we're gonna take away your earning ability. And then it goes from there to, you better stand or we're gonna fucking shoot you in the street.
The thing that kind of gets me on this is, so I worked at a place before that was, we had a lot of conservative people there, and we went to a baseball game it was a company outing to a Tigers game. Mm-hmm. And so there's a large group of us, probably, I don't know what it was, 80 of us standing there before the game, eating, drinking, whatever. And I brought Jack, my oldest, with me. Mm-hmm. And so the game gets ready to start, and they do the whole national anthem thing. And this is after all the kneeling and all that stuff started. Mm-hmm. So they start the national anthem, and I made it a point to look around at people that I had heated conversations with about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. And the national anthem's playing, and they're just chit-chatting, smoking, drinking, doing whatever. My son, the 80 people or so that were there, was the only person that stopped what he was doing to pay homage to the flag or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
He's the only person to stop. And it's like that at every sporting event you go to. I go to a lot of sporting events. Mm-hmm. And you go around and you look, and people are doing whatever they want. But it's only when some black guys get on the field and do it that you have an issue with it.
Yeah.
But it's not everyone. Growing up, one of my good friends growing up, his dad... I used to go over there and watch baseball games all the time. And at home, when the national anthem came on, they would all stand up and, they'd pay respect to the flag and the national anthem. So, I mean, there are people that do that, but a vast, vast majority of people don't give a shit unless you're kneeling.
Or they're,
They don't care. They don't care to stand there.
Or if they're on camera.
Yeah.
They usually, No, and that's fine. I've said it many times on this show. I respect real things. I respect behavior. I respect actions. I respect words.
Yeah.
I have no respect for cloth. I have no respect for a song that was written by a slave owner. I mean, it's when you break it down, it's still just a fucking song.
Yeah.
And its meaning is it's meaningless.
It reminds me of when the whole anti-Iraq war thing was going on, and you started to see these support our troop things pop up all over the place. And it's like, look, I will always support our men and women that fight for our country, but I don't have to support
the war. Right. And that's the thing. There was that thing during the Vietnam War where a lot of the protesters spit on our troops. Mm-hmm. They held their troops responsible. For it, rather than holding the real people responsible. So I see where that comes from, to a point.
Well, that's not what was going on.
Not this time. No,
not
no,
this
no,
time.
no. But they use it. They're using it in that reverse. And like I said, I don't want to disrespect the military, but there's things it's a volunteer military. You're choosing to do that, knowing what the risk is.
Yeah.
You sign your life away. I mean, I understand that it's not easy for families, but you want to know the best way to support a troop is to make sure your leaders don't send them to fucking war.
Yes, that's exactly.
That is the best way.
Yeah, it is.
You want to support that troop, make sure he comes home to his family or she comes home to her family.
Yeah.
That's the only way I know to support a troop. Beyond that, they're making the choice on their own.
Yeah.
But what I can do to support them is to vote for people I know aren't going to start fucking wars for no goddamn reason.
Which we do that quite often nowadays.
Yes. So
under Democrats and Republicans.
yeah, actually,
there's no one party responsible for it.
No. The nice thing is that we haven't had to deal with a Vietnam level situation, at least yet. I mean, the number of dead in Iraq have not reached that height yet.
But you never know. Give it another 20, 25, 30 years that we're in Iraq, in Afghanistan, we might.
Yeah. Well, and again, it would pale because that was, an 8-year period, and this is, still any dead soldier is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And if it was a World War II scenario, I would join up myself. I'd volunteer myself.
You're too fucking old.
I am too fucking old. They wouldn't take me. It doesn't mean I wouldn't volunteer.
Yeah.
And if the shit really hit the fan, they would take me.
Yeah.
Because I'd be good cannon fodder. But if it's a matter of truly defending freedom, I would do it myself.
Yeah. But outside of the just political side of it, the whole anti-free speech thing.
And it's on both sides. That's the problem. This isn't a party issue.
But it's over multiple things. It's over our entertainment. It's
mostly our entertainment right now.
Well, it's almost like you can't legislate tolerance and inclusion.
But they're trying to.
That's
the downfall of the Democrats, I think. They're the ones. Yeah, they're the ones trying to legislate tolerance.
Yeah, I mean it's tolerance. It's got to be organic. I mean, you've got to.
It does, and not only that, but you also have to understand that there are going to always be people who aren't going to be tolerant. You're never going to be totally rid of them.
I don't know if it's really. Humans aren't really built that way, though.
No.
I think it's almost fundamental to us to be around our own kind, to be separate from people that aren't like us, and it's okay. If you're not only gravitating around your own kind and then hating everyone else. If you understand what I'm saying. I mean,
I don't know about the hate part. I think
I'm saying it's not okay. It's not.
Oh,
okay.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like you said, though. I mean, naturally, humans, like you said,
gravitate to each other.
Like connects to like, but that doesn't mean the hate has to be there.
Yeah.
And that's where tolerance really exists. It's the idea that yes, you're going to primarily be in groups that are like you, but you're not going to be against groups that aren't like you. To me, that's just tolerance, right? That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Because everyone on this planet we're all trying to do the same fucking thing, and that's just live our fucking lives.
Yeah.
Whether you're black, white, Asian, Muslim, what it does, or as this Arabic. Muslim isn't a race.
No, it's a religion.
It's a religion. Yeah, which makes it worse.
Shut the fuck up.
But we're all just trying to live our lives, and we're just trying to get through. Because at the end, we all end up in the same place anyway. But how we go about those things, and inclusiveness, just like you said, it comes organically. In the United States, you can't be completely cut off.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to run into, white people are always going to run into black people, it doesn't mean you have to hate them. Just because you're not like them. And that's, I mean, I'm just looking at the basic fundamental of inclusion and tolerance. That's it. The black man down the street is trying to do the exact same thing you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And whether you do it together or separate, it's exactly the same. And as long as we all understand that, that's it. That's the end of it.
But
beyond that, you don't have to force it. You don't have to say,
well, look at the Alex Jones thing. You know,
well, and I was going to get to that because I was actually going to pose the question to you. Do you think some of his videos should have been pulled?
No.
At all? Okay.
I
go back and forth.
Unless they are inciting violence, no.
They were borderline. Some of them were borderline.
Because, the thing is, pretending that ugly and offensive thoughts and ideologies don't exist.
Right. Doesn't solve any problems.
Only hurts our society.
I know. I agree. And that's why I was going to pose that question because it goes beyond a rational way of looking at it. You almost have to take a philosophical approach to it. Do you embrace free speech 100% or do you not? Because at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. You can't have
free speech for some, but not for others.
Right.
Is the way it is right now.
And that can't continue.
No, it's got to be an all or nothing kind of thing.
Right. Well, and I don't want a nothing thing. No. I want to be free to say whatever the fuck I want to say.
I think everyone should be.
And I think everyone should be free, have the freedom to be offended.
Yeah.
Being offended is a good thing. It creates conversation.
Being offended moves society along.
Yes. Because if you don't like what you're hearing, you have two choices. You can pose a better idea, which is what we want, or you can just turn it off and move on.
Yeah.
Those are your options. Telling that person they can't say it isn't an option.
Yeah. Because I've been saying it for a long time that if complaining without having solutions is whining. So if
that's true.
If you've got a problem with something, try to work towards something to fix it.
Right. Well, and quite honestly,
but pretending that nothing out there, making sure that nothing out there offends you, how does that help you as a person? How does it help society?
Yeah, walking through life never ever being offended by anything, I don't think that's living.
No,
because then you're not being exposed to anything beyond your little bubble. And this is the question I pose because, like you pointed out, this is a fairly newer occurrence, but nationally speaking, the Ku Klux Klan is still allowed to march.
Yeah,
they have that freedom, and they're as offensive as you can get, essentially.
Somewhat, yeah.
At least in our country, them and the Nazis. I mean, it doesn't get any more offensive than that. And both of those groups are allowed to march.
The Nazis should be a little bit more offensive to a larger
internationally.
Yeah.
Nationally, though, the Klan we own it, and we have to own that. But they're free to express themselves in a public forum. So, if we allow that, why are we not allowing other things?
Yeah,
that's my problem. And it's kind of like what you said. It's the all or nothing thing. You can't have. The only time that free speech is curtailed is when you are a representative of something else.
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr, for example. I don't know if I think that might have been taken too far, but she was not. She was speaking for herself as a representative of ABC.
Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from repercussions.
True. It should in the sense that if you're just representing yourself, you shouldn't be afraid of.
Correct.
But as you and I, if we're at work, we don't express our personal views.
Well,
beyond where we know we can.
Yeah.
We don't walk around our workplace saying everything we want to say.
Correct.
Because when we're at work, we are representing that place.
And it was actually brought up to me by one of our supervisors that I was discussing the first time we did a Facebook Live episode.
Uh-huh.
And one of our supervisors mentioned to make sure I didn't wear anything
representing our work.
Yeah, representing our work. So,
which we wouldn't anyway, because that'd be just silly talk.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's the only time I think your freedom of speech can be hampered.
Yeah.
But it only applies to your work life, unless you're a celebrity. I mean, there has to be a little bit of give and take there. That's like I said. It may have been an overreaction. If she'd been a bit more apologetic about it,
yeah,
they maybe should have pulled back some, but she wasn't. So I mean, it is what it is. But Bill Maher suffered the same thing. He lost his job at ABC.
Yeah.
And
which is probably good in the long run for him.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out for him. But, and I'm sure probably work out for Roseanne Barr. She's bounced back from worse in the past.
Yeah.
So, beyond that, though, and at the time I was kind of angry about it. I thought, well, that's bullshit. He's on a political show. And then once you hear what he said, it wasn't really even that fucking bad.
No, it wasn't.
But, again, he probably wasn't even thinking about it. He was just in the moment of his show. It was a politically driven show, so he was talking about politics. He was talking about the political situation.
Yeah.
Wasn't even thinking about it. But he had to, by losing his job, I hope he would have looked at it and said, okay, well, he still jokes about it.
He does.
You're no longer totally free to say what you want because you are representing something else.
You know, I wonder... And I'm not sure if this is because of the anti kind of free speech thing that's going on right now, or if it caused part of it. But how much of but it kind of coincided with it around the same time they all kind of started, was the whole anti-bullying thing and the lengths that they've gone to try to curtail bullying in schools. Right. I don't want to sound too libertarian or anything, but
well, I think the bullying thing probably had to come to a head because we're in an age now where, and it's been said before, where, you know, when we were kids, if we were bullied in school, at the end of the day we got to go home and we were away from it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it follows us with social media.
Yeah. And now you're to the point where you've got adults
bullying
that are
back,
joining with their children, bullying other children.
Exactly. So I'm not sure if where that's gone is necessarily too far, as long as it stays in the schools. It's got to stay. They have to have anti-bullying programs in school. But to some degree, bullying builds character.
Yeah.
Because that's what to a small degree. But I mean, throughout history, there's been bullying.
At least the way I was always raised was, you know, if someone's bullying you, at some point you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to stand up to them, or
just walk away. Right. I always preferred to walk away, but there were a couple times where, you know, you have to say something. You have to say, "Look, this is kind of bullshit."
Yeah.
But now in a sense, though, it built. That's what I'm talking about. It builds character. It sets you up in a position, if you understand what it is, to start making those decisions in life.
Yeah.
When to stand up, when not to stand up, how to deal with things that are negative. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I have a feeling that the next couple generations of Americans aren't going to know how to fucking deal with anything.
No.
And that scares me, because if you've never been exposed to anything negative, and then you go out into the real world and it's all fucking negative, you're gonna. It's gonna.
A good part of it is.
It's gonna be like growing up in anti-gravity and then finally being on the planet. It's gonna crush you.
But that's why they're trying to create an entire country full of safe spaces for everyone.
But that's not good either.
I know that.
That's like, and that's where I really think the left has gone. That's
off
their
the rails?
That's their batshit crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that's their level of batshit. That's gotta stop, because that is not what makes good people.
No, not pretending that something doesn't exist.
Right. So I mean, I think you and I are in the same boat. Offensiveness is necessary.
Yeah. This country was founded on free speech.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's the very first amendment to the Constitution.
Well, you would think, but yeah. Well, don't get me started on that, because it can go to a whole other area.
But still, it's just, I don't know. It's just
Well, what made me bring up the subject was I was curious about your view on the Alex Jones thing, and like I said, his videos were these
to a certain extent. I find it kind of comical as a guy. I really hate the guy.
Yeah,
but big picture, it's not good.
Well, they didn't pull everything. They just pulled specific videos.
But his accounts were suspended. His Twitter account was suspended.
Temporarily.
Yes.
But they only pulled certain videos.
Okay.
And the suspensions were temporary. They was just saying, okay, look, we're pulling these videos. You need to stop doing this kind of thing. I don't know what was pulled because I don't watch them.
Yeah.
So I guess that was my question. Where do you draw the line then? Is it just at hate speech or at the incitement of violence?
I draw the line at inciting violence.
Okay.
If you're inciting violence, you cross the line. It's like screaming fire in a crowded theater. That's something that's not protected by freedom of speech.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if you've ever. Oh, you probably haven't, but I watch a lot of debates and stuff online on YouTube, and there was one. It was a free speech, not a debate. It was more of a conversation between Christopher Hitchens and Salman Rushdie, and that was brought up. And Christopher Hitchens just looked at the audience and goes, "Fire, fire."
Well, it's not. It's.
I know, but his view is there's nothing you can't say. That was his view. The free speech is unlimited. I don't know if I totally agree with that either.
No, because if you have someone like I'm not trying to say this is what Alex Jones does, right. But if you have somebody like him that has that kind of following that goes out and says, if you see an Indian person out there, murder him,
right? Because
it will happen.
Well,
you have that kind of people that follow individuals like Alex Jones.
And Christopher Hitchens was defending Salman Rushdie, who had a fatwa put out on him because he wrote that book.
Yeah.
And now he was defending that as free speech. Of course, he would point out that the inciting of violence is protected under freedom of religion, which in that case it was, because no religious group, it was a Muslim thing that the fatwa was Muslim, but no other religious group condemned it.
Yeah.
So apparently freedom of religion trumps freedom of speech is what his point was.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, the same thing happened with the Dutch cartoonist. No one condemned that either. And because they did a picture of Muhammad.
Okay.
So even though their country said we won't tell them, our government cannot tell this cartoonist he can't do that because they have free speech. Every other government in the world said, well, you probably should, including ours. The freest nation in the world said that they should censor their
because we're trying to censor everything. I
know, but that's why Hitchens was going to that level. Is basically what I'm saying, because that was his argument.
But still, anything that's going to incite violence,
right,
is a line that should not be crossed, and we should not.
Well, see, the argument was drawing a picture of Muhammad was inciting violence.
No,
because they knew that it would offend.
No.
That's the argument that our country made that argument.
Because inciting violence is going out and asking people
to kill. I know. I know the distinction. Our government did not.
Because that's not inciting violence. That's doing something that may be offensive.
Yeah.
That's not inciting violence.
Our government, and I believe George Bush himself said this. He said, you understood that by doing that, you were calling down basically the wrath of the entire Muslim people on you.
But once again, that's doing something that's offensive. That's not inciting violence.
I know, but I didn't want to go down that road. But I just was pointing out the fire thing because you brought it up.
No, it's
I don't know if I think most people in this day and age, if you're in a crowded room and you scream fire, everyone's just going to go where.
I want to see it. No, they're going to say, "Hold on, let me get my cell phone out so I can take a video of it."
Yeah. So I guess that the fire in a crowded room argument probably doesn't apply, but the soul of it.
At one point, but it's funny.
Well, that was a Supreme Court thing, wasn't it?
No, I don't know.
I think that was a Supreme Court thing.
It could have been. But it was funny mentioning cell phones real quick before we wrap this up. I know we're like super long. Story of my life. It was funny. So we just went on vacation. With me and my wife took the kids down to Universal Studios, and we're in the park one night, and they've got this like big light show going on, and it's really cool. It's really I found it really fascinating, the stuff that they were doing. But I look around and like everyone's got their cell phone out, and like so they're
watching it.
They're watching it through their cell phone, videotaping it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Put your damn cell phone down and actually enjoy what you're watching.
Right, because you know what, you could have saved yourself hundreds of dollars
and just watch it
on YouTube.
Exactly,
because I'm sure you can find it on YouTube.
I'm like, because all those dipshits probably posted on YouTube.
Right.
So there's thousands of videos out there. Put your damn phone down there
and appreciate the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And actually, I was reading something not too long ago that actually talked about how the human mind actually remembers things better
if it sees it
firsthand. Well, if you don't even taking pictures. They said don't take pictures. You actually remember it better, the events better by not taking pictures of it.
Well, I don't know if I go quite that far. I think it's fine to take pictures. Just don't take so many pictures.
Don't
go enjoy it. And then maybe take a picture before you leave.
Don't live through your cell phone.
That's how we always used to do it.
Yes, exactly.
We take a group photo, but after the experience, So, I don't know.
So that was kind of a fun episode.
Yeah.
We talked about and we didn't really have a topic, so I mean.
Well, I came in, I suggested we do like news and then something on free speech.
That's what we did. That was kind of fun.
It was a light topic.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I like kind of arguing, though. That was kind of fun last episode, I have to tell you.
You know what? As you point out a lot, I'm old. I'm out of shape. I don't know how much my heart can take. 'Cause when my blood pressure goes up, I'm just afraid one of these days we're going to be arguing and you're going to record a heart attack.
Yeah, well.
But if you like arguments, I'm sure we can come up with something that's very argumentative.
We did the top 10 presidents episode. That was like
the least argumentative thing, and we argued about that. Yeah,
that was a really long argument, really heated too.
Yeah.
But anything else to add, Ian?
No, I think we've established that we're, for the most part, free speech all the way. That's it. No argument there.
Okay. Well, any questions or comments? Email us at contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and all that jazz. Check out our website also.
Yeah, do that because you all probably know better than I do.
What, our website?
Yeah.
Do you know our fucking website, Ian?
It's pod something.
Shut up. Shut up.
I don't need to remember the addresses because I got it saved in my favorites.
Okay. Well, anyway, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a crowd around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that you're sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bruh. We taking the dub. Hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon. Oh shit. Watch out, you the god, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water. Bring that shit in bottles. We mosh at the party. They hate when we style.